We begin on a very sad note. The passage of gospel music artist Osinachi Nwachukwu on March 31st came as a rude shock to not just the Christian family in Nigeria, but to a cross-section of folks who were wooed by the talented gospeler. Succor and comfort appears to be coming to the bereaved family, nuclear and extended, as the federal government has instituted a legal action against the husband of the late gospel singer. The Attorney General of the Federation, you know him, has slammed a 23-count charge against Peter Nwachukwu in accordance with sections 104 and 379 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Jide, if you ask me, this is a clear example of poetic justice.
Yeah, poetic justice on the move, not, we are not there yet. We are
on the way there.
Yes, that's the point that I want to make. We've seen, we've been in this kind of situation before, and ultimately you see clearly that justice is not served. I hope that this won't be one of such cases, because the death of this woman incensed Nigerians, the generality of Nigerians, and what we want to see is an example made of the husband, because the stories that we heard were really, really perplexing stories. And the woman did her best to stay in her marriage, ultimately costing her her life. It's unfortunate. We've lost her, but someone has to pay for the ill treatment meted out to her. I hope that the prosecution will provide rock-solid evidence, including the autopsy carried out after her death, so that Peter Nwachukwu has nowhere to go, so that there will be no escape for her. I really pity the woman and members of the family, but I think that in all of this, we can learn some exemplary lessons.
Yeah.
If you are going through mistreatment within your marriage, you've got to get out of that marriage. Churches would, in the final analysis, be unable to help you once the die is cast. A lot of women are going through extreme pain within their marriages, a lot of men too. But because our society tends to treat people, divorcees, as trying to give pariah status to divorcees. So many people simply continue to take in the pain.
Yeah. And again, the religious places of worship will encourage you to stay, because you allow the God factor to take over.
Yes, but even that, they've not been able to prove conclusively to us that whatever one is going through in a marriage, the Bible says you must remain there. Some of the social problems that we face in today's world that are making marriages, more and more marriages, hell on earth for people, they were not there back then.
Yeah.
You know, so people have to use their heart and not their brain and decide what is right. Because if you keep saying, if you leave the marriage, your children will suffer and all that, they will suffer even more if you get killed.
That's it.
You know, so it's unfortunate. All of these things that they've stated here in the charge sheet were stories that we had immediately after this woman died. So we are being told now that after extensive investigation, that the federal government has found that all of those things that we were told, that some people thought were just mere stories,
which tells me, Jide and you, that a prima facie case can be established.
It can be established. I'm eager to know what the coroner came up with, because it's going to be a very, very useful, valuable piece of evidence, you know. Beyond a lot of what is here, circumstantial and all that, you can't really grip him with it. But if indeed he kicked the woman in her belly and she didn't recover from it, then he has to pay for what he has done.
Just before we came on even above, we talked about not punishing bad behavior in this country. You remember Clint Eastwood, the famed American film producer, director? He was in a class where people were being lectured about marriages and so on. The pastor said marriages were made in heaven. And Clint Eastwood, Jide, reminded the pastor that thunder and lightning were also made in heaven. So when your marriage assumes that dimension, you know when to apply the brakes, don't you?
Another thing, thank you. Another thing we have to look at is there's a problem that we are not looking at, and that is what we call Stockholm syndrome. When you are in a relationship with someone, whether it was a first one or you voluntarily go into that relationship, and this person begins to abuse you, and you allow some infiltration into your subconscious mind, telling you that you are probably the reason that you are being abused. When you continue to assimilate that into your subconscious mind, it's going to be very difficult for you to leave that relationship, because you are looking, rather than seeing yourself as a victim, you are viewing your abuser as the victim.
You are blaming yourself.
Yes, blaming yourself for what he or she is doing to you. And it has to do with cognitive dissonance too. That one is, let me give an example. Like, you're an environmentalist. You don't want the environment to be littered with, let's say, polythene bags. But you have to use polythene bags, and you have to dispose of polythene bags. So you are caught in between your belief and what you really have to do. So it's a huge problem. So a lot of people were saying she killed herself, she should have left and everything. And I told a few people I could tell that, have you considered whether because Stockholm syndrome is a mental issue. And it takes a professional to understand it. But a layman will see it as, she's not serious, she should have left. And there are so many people in a relationship, whether they are just dating or they are in their marriages, they are going through it. They can't leave, not because they don't want to leave, but because there is something in their subconscious mind that telling them,
stick it.
Yes.
And again, there is the fear of, what would the people say?
The society. Take, for instance, if Osinachi did not die, and she just told herself, I've had it. I've had it up to here, and I'm leaving.
At that point, her story would be too difficult to sell.
Nobody would have, all the places of worship where she was being invited to perform, they wouldn't invite her. She would become a very bad example to a lot of people.
A hard sell.
Yes. So because it happened now, everybody, I mean, a lot of people are coming out to say so many things.
And they are denying that they were not aware that she was going through all that. How could somebody so important, so big in the church, be going through all of that mental and physical agony, and no one,
keep a straight face,
no one would claim that, oh, we were aware that she was going through this? I mean, it shows that we are not actually our brother's keepers. We just pretend to be.
Julia, and this thing about marriage being in an institution, and then you wonder which man or woman wants to live in an institution, and you don't get to graduate. And yet there are experts who tell you about the pros and cons of marriage and so on.
Marriage can be such a pleasant experience. Marriage can make each and every one of us better, but not everyone will be fortunate to find the perfect partner.
Yeah.
Not
Is there a perfect partner?
That's why I put it in inverted commas, because no one indeed is perfect. Mahatma Gandhi said, no man can attain perfection while in the body. So, and at what point would you say you are no longer in the body? So he's saying, he was saying that, look, no man indeed can attain perfection. Only God is perfect.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people that you see posting beautiful pictures and all that, they are going through hell on earth. They are just living a lie. I've had a friend who obviously was living a lie for many years, painting the picture of a perfect home.
But
until he got to this point.
Suffering and smiling. Yeah.
Until he got to this point and she was going to choke. That was when she walked out of the marriage. And we were now asking ourselves, but she always gave us the feeling that all was well.
Yeah.
You know, they put the pictures of their children on social media. They post pictures of their husbands. So many people are going through hell. You know, they don't want to walk out of it because what would the parents say? What would members of their family say? And what would church members say? Especially the church. Many people have lost their lives because of, what would they say if I walk out of this relationship? Yeah. When you die, the world moves on. When you die, the world moves on. So you don't have to remain there until you get killed. Look at the guy who was killed by his banker wife.
Oh, yeah.
He even posted a picture of himself bleeding after the wife stabbed him. My wife will stab me and I will still sleep in that house the same day. Now, one of us won't sleep in that house. One of us won't sleep in that house. So, because it is dangerous to remain under the same roof with somebody who mustered the courage to stab you. Of course, he didn't live to tell the story. He remained, he went back home, posted a picture of himself bleeding and wearing boxer shorts. But by the next day, the wife had killed her.
I'm sure Ibn Abo would remember the story of the couple in Lekki area of Lagos. They went jogging. Everybody saw them. And on coming back, the man stabbed the woman. So we have a lot of lessons to learn. Before you go in, be sure you are marrying a friend. Very key.
But people change. People change.
Yeah.
People change.
People do change. People do change.
So you could see a perfect spouse.
Okay.
And then after a few years, you just discovered, this was not the person I got married to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people will hide their character, their real character to you, because if they did not hide it, it could endanger the relationship, and you may eventually not take the decision to get married to them.
Jide, whether or not you believe it, I hope the now generation would agree with me that there was something very, very striking about the world of yesteryear, where you are supposed to 1 or 2, 3 years know the man, know the woman before you go into the.
That's what you could know the man, know the woman, and the person could change later on. They could change. So those things that you didn't see when you were courting, the moment you get married and there's a feeling of security, you begin to see those things.
Okay, what a shame.